The head and arm choke setup and finish from mount. I have a mount top. Marie has, like say, kind of her hands together. The first thing that we want to do is get like inside hand position so we can get crossface. Once we get the crossface hand in place, I'm going to find, say, my index finger on the armpit here. I pull my elbow towards my knee, so my right elbow goes towards my knee. I drop my shoulder, drop my chest, and I connect my hip to Marie's hip here. So I have good connection with the shoulder, the rib cage, and the hip. The reason why I'm doing this is a lot of the time when we go for head and arm from kind of like a traditional mount, I'm vulnerable to being swept over to my right shoulder if Marie bridges on her right leg here. So how we stop this and allow us to get more control for the setup is, one, take the head, your training partner's head, off the center line. I get good connection here, so you can see my shoulders connected, rib cage, and my hip. I'm hooking my laces on my training partner's ankle, and I'm bringing her ankle outside the line of her knee. Right, so the more I bring the ankle outside the knee, it's way harder for your training partner to bridge. And even if they are able to kind of create some bridging power, you can see that my right foot counteracts that. So I have active toes, so it's not shoelaces on the floor, it's active toes. If Marie's able to bridge, I'm able to push back with my right foot. Let's say that Marie is able to bring her foot inside, so her ankle is inside the line of that knee. You can see Marie can get, like say, good bridging power from here. So once we get the crossface, bring the right elbow towards the knee, we drop our shoulder, drop our chest, drop our hip, and then we hook that leg, bringing the ankle outside the knee. So we call this twisted mount. There's a few different names on it, but twisted mount's a good name for it because you see my training partner's head is kind of twisted in the opposite direction of their hips. So I have active toes on the far side, and I'm going to use this to help me set up the head and arm here. All right, so depending on where your training partner's hand position is, if they have, like say, a frame underneath your throat, so like a crossface, we're going to have to pummel inside for an inside bicep tie here. We pin the elbow, pummel our head inside, and now I'm going to get my hand underneath for an underhook. So one of the bigger complaints here is people say that they're not able to get the arm up to 12 o'clock. So we want the arm up to 12 o'clock for the head and arm, but Marie's keeping the arm down nice and tight, so her elbow's kind of tight to her hip. So I bring my hand inside and I flare my elbow outside here. So this gives me more leverage where I can bring Marie's elbow up towards 12 o'clock. So we're going to walk with our hand, we'll come to a sticking point. Once we come to a sticking point, we draw an arc with our head. So instead of it just being arm versus arm, so if Marie, you give me some resistance, this is arm versus arm, I'm going to do arm versus arm, and I'm going to use my back as well. All right, so when Marie tries to resist it, hand goes inside, elbow outside, we walk, we come to that sticking point where we can't go anymore. I draw an arc by looking over Marie's head, and we keep repeating this. Walk the hand and draw the arc until we get the elbow to 12 o'clock. Once the arm comes to 12 o'clock, we can go to more of a traditional mount in this position here. I cup the shoulder, cup the elbow or tricep, make sure my head is on the outside of the tricep. Really important detail here is, if you look at my right bicep here, I need to get connection with the bicep on the artery. So I need the bicep to be here to get tight choke. So how we do this is, I can do this from regular mount or I can do this from twisted mount. It's really up to you, so you can kind of play around with it. Is I push the shoulder here and then I uppercut with my right hand. I then drop the weight on the shoulder. I want to get even more connection, so I use an S grip to pull. I then pummel off and I go to knee on belly. I take a big step with my left leg. So there's three big details I want you to focus on here. The first one is step with your left leg, open up your left elbow. The third one then is I look over the shoulder, so we draw that arc again. And then we just repeat that process. Step, flare, look over the shoulder. You'll come to a position then where I step, flare, and look over the shoulder, that my chin basically goes into the eye, or in that direction at least, and then we can get a tight finish for the head and arm choke. So on that one, you can stay with an S grip, you can go with a gable grip, or some people want to go with a rear naked choke grip, you can do that as well. So again, so we managed to get inside hand position. I get the grip on the armpit here. I'm taking the head off center. I drop the shoulder, get the connection with the chest, and then I connect my hip to my training partner's hip. Remember, we have the twisted mount, so laces go to the ankle, and then I'm reinforcing this kind of mount by going active toes on the far side. If Marie tries to bridge me over my right shoulder, this is going to be very hard. So if your training partner goes with like a crossface underneath, it's going to be hard to walk the arm up. So if you kind of resist it a little bit, it's going to be a little bit harder, and then when we come to that like position where we want the head and arm, their hand's not going to be in the right position. So what we want to do is pummel inside for an inside bicep tie. We flare our elbow, so you connect the elbow to your training partner's elbow, drop their elbow to the floor. I do a chin tuck and roll my head over the shoulder, and I punch my underhook. Marie tries to resist, so how I'm going to bring the hand up is I bring the hand inside and the elbow outside, and I start to walk. When you come to that sticking point, I draw an arc with my head. So now it's arm versus arm and my back versus my training partner's arm. So I should be in a lot stronger position. So I walk and I look over my shoulder until we go to 12 o'clock. Again, you can do this from twisted mount if you're comfortable, or if you want to go back to your kind of traditional mount, you can do that either. So what I want to do now is when I get the elbow up to 12 o'clock, I want to bring my head from the inside to the outside. I pin the tricep, so you can go again regular mount or twisted mount. I'm going to go twisted mount because I kind of prefer this because I feel I have more base. I push the shoulder off the mat and I uppercut to get connection with my right bicep on the left artery. I then drop the shoulder down towards the floor to make the head and arm tighter. I'm going to pull this S grip. I'm going to finish with a gable grip now. So I pummel off, I go to knee on belly, I take a wide step. So remember the three details we were talking about? We're going to step, open our elbow and draw that arc with our head. And we're just going to repeat that. Step, open the elbow, draw that arc with your head until you get your tight finish.